It is Wednesday, June 12th, 2024. This is another edition of Baseball Today, presented to you by our friends over at Factor. That is not my man, Trevor Plouffe. That is my dude, Stephen Brault. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan, intern Tommy along for the ride as well. Of course, Plouffe has got an early game on Bally's with the Minnesota Twins and the Colorado Rockies. So, Stephen, thank you so much for being here. I understand you and Plouffe went face-to-face this past weekend in the Steel City.
We did. You know what? I gotta say, in person, a little more gray in that hair than I thought. Trevor Plouffe definitely. I mean, he's getting that wisdom going. You know what I mean? But it was great to see him, man.
Is that shots fired right there?
Oh yeah, shots fired. That's the beginning. I figured we'd start hot. You know what I mean?
Oh my God! You know what people are going to say in the chat now? It's going to be the two handsome former baseball players that are going after each other, taking shots.
Yeah, big time. Yeah. He was doing the game in Pittsburgh. We got to see each other, got to say hello, talk about kind of, how he's doing his jobs this year, bouncing around so much. Gosh, he's a busy man. He's doing a lot. But dude, it's great to see him. And it's always nice to get players coming to Pittsburgh, ex-players or whatever, and they always say, man, I love this stadium. It is so pretty. And it was a beautiful weekend for him to be here. So I'm glad that he got to experience the majestic views of PNC Park, but it was good to see him.
Yeah, and it's not just the stadium that people are talking about there in Pittsburgh with the Pirates. So we will, we will cover that. Oh, we've already got people in the chat saying that Brault is better looking.
Oh my gosh, don't say that. He's gorgeous. He's got the silver fox thing going on.
Ooh, boy, he's not going to like that part of it, though. Holy smokes. Backhanded compliment. All right, let's get this thing going with a tip of the cap. He had Kyle Schwarber back at Fenway Park for the first time since playing for the Red Sox in the 2021 ALCS. He didn't waste much time in getting things going.
Audi dealer today and experience Audi's full lineup of electric vehicles. This is electric to center field. It is gone. A home run for Kyle Schwarber to start the game.
Dude, they couldn't even get through the Audi opening read before.
I know, right? Can't even let the guy finish his read. Hey, but good job of throwing it in there. Once you're there, you got to improvise it. You got to figure out the best way to roll through it. The throwing in, and this is electric right here. That's good stuff. It's thinking on your feet. But man, Schwarber doing Schwarber things. I love to see it.
Yeah, particularly in June. So he had another homer last night, and now he has the best home run to at-bat ratio in the month of June in baseball history. And the only reason we say that's a big deal is because he did pass Babe Ruth. So now It's one homer every 10.4 at-bats. I imagine he wasn't a fun guy to face for you.
He wasn't too bad for me. Lefty. I threw a lot of sinkers, and that's really not his jam, things going into him. So I don't know the numbers. Maybe he did, but I don't remember him being necessarily incredible off of me. But I did do a little dive into his June stats for his career. So he's like right at a season, 166 games. So that's always fun. So yeah, he's played 166 games in June. He has a 927 OPS. He has 57 home runs. I mean, that's a good season right there. 57 homers, that's impressive. 88 walks too. I mean, I don't know why some people are better in certain months. Maybe this is that time that the pitchers are just starting to warm up, and maybe Kyle Schwarber is already warmed up, and so he gets a little bit of an edge in June, maybe. I don't know. But, man, impressive stuff.
Yeah, stay out of his way, and you don't want to be playing Philadelphia anytime over the next 3 weeks. It's that simple. And, by the way, they're going to need his mighty clout because Real Muto out at least the next month. He's having knee surgery, but, of course, they've got a 10-game lead, so take your time there, JT. We'll see you when we see you. I know it feels like every time you're on the show we talk about Paul Skenes, but I think this was really necessary. Last night in another amazing effort, scoreless through 6 1/3, 8 more Ks, no decision for him, and the Pirates win. But the Cardinals fans, they definitely made up their mind that Paul Skenes is respect-worthy. This is what happened when he came out of the game in the 7th.
He'll leave with a runner at second, one out.
Look at this, Greg.
Yeah,
we got
Cardinal fans giving him a standing ovation.
Incredible.
Okay, this guy has pitched 6 games in the big leagues. When you saw this happen, and you were working last night, weren't you?
I was, yeah.
How shocked were you?
I'm not shocked. There's a few reasons I'm not shocked. One, I mean, we're watching it. The fact that I get to cover this guy's every start is a blessing because I get to watch it very closely and kind of analyze what's going on. And so I think I know Paul Skenes so far better than most people, and it is really impressive to watch. I mean, the guy is just doing, it's different because a lot of times you see like these super power guys come up or super command or super nasty, whatever it is. He's the 5-tool pitcher. You know what I mean? We talk about 5-tool players. He's a 5-tool pitcher. He has the incredible velocity, absolutely nasty, and he has incredible demand. And when you have all those three things together, I mean, he's 22 years old, just turned 22, and he looks like a seasoned vet out on the mound. The way he pitches and the way that he's able to, when maybe something isn't going quite right, adjust. He threw almost 20% curveballs yesterday. He hasn't thrown over 5% in any other game. So it's just like he's doing different things every time out. And then he's got 100, 101, even up to 102 in the tank. I mean, it's really impressive to watch. And then the other side of that is Cardinals fans are all about, I love playing there because it feels the most like, I would say, like an old-timey baseball coliseum when you go there, and they appreciate good baseball. So I always say this, like if you make a really nice diving play in St. Louis, you get a golf clap. You get a little, okay, that was really nice. Like we still don't like you because you're on the other team, but good for you. And so when they see somebody like Paul Skenes coming in and they know that celebrity that is involved with that, and they know that every start millions of people are watching, it's pretty cool to see. And you watched them yesterday dominate the St. Louis Cardinals, and you just got to respect it.
Except that they might be seeing this for years on end, and they are in the same division. So y'all better be careful what you're clapping for, because maybe in about 2 or 3 years, you can be like, God dang it, man, we used to clap for that. I think some people were like, is this where we're at? Now we're clapping for guys after 6 major league starts. But, I mean, he is special. If you just look at some of the numbers here, Sarah Langs, the great Sarah Langs, said he's had 60 pitches this year of 100-plus miles per hour. No other starter has more than 33. The dude's been here like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to end up with the most, no question. Mason Miller is far and above the most right now by like over 150 or something like that. And Paul Skenes is going to catch him just by the nature of being a starter and Mason Miller being a reliever. But I mean, it's there. Even his pitches under 100, though, you have to realize like his, not this game, but the last game, he threw 16 balls over 100 miles an hour. He also threw 13 more that were 99.5 and up. So you'd round those up to 100 maybe, but we don't give him that stat. But that's 29 total in one game. And then every other fastball is 99.2. You know what I mean? It's an impressive thing to watch. It
reminds me a little bit of the Jack Nicklaus stats for people that aren't huge golf fans. Jack Nicklaus, arguably the greatest golfer ever. 18 major championships. So we're talking about the U.S. Open, the British Open, the Masters, the PGA Championship. He also finished runner-up 20 times. So, it's a similar sort of thought process there. I am curious. You've watched this team all year long. Are you going to have a problem if Paul Skenes is the Pirates' lone all-star representative?
I would have a problem with that right now just because there is one other guy that absolutely deserves to be an all-star, and that's Colin Holderman. He's the setup guy for the Pirates. Probably a lot of people probably don't know his name, but through 22.2 innings this year, he has a .79 ERA. He's had 24 games, 24 outings, and only 2 of them has he given up 1 run each. I mean, he is just absolutely nasty. It's like a guaranteed inning is over when he comes into the game. And I think he should be a guy that gets in that in the All-Star game just based on straight ability. And then if you're going to go, like we got like a month left, right, till this voting ends, if Keller and Jones both have 5 more really good starts, then they're right in the mix of the conversation. It kind of depends on what other people do and if they continue. But Keller his last 6 starts is a 1.13 ERA. He has 6 wins in a row, just really, really good stuff. And then Jared Jones, we've seen him be absolutely nasty. So if he gets back to that absolutely nasty, they're both hovering right at that 3 mark. They'd have to do a lot to get to the All-Star game, but yes, I think Skenes should be in it. I'll say that. I think he deserves to. I think he is one of the best pitchers in baseball right now. And I don't see why you would want to hold that back. Talk about star power. Get that guy in the All-Star game. That's where he belongs.
To me, it's a no-brainer. As long as he's okay, as long as he doesn't get knocked around in his next 4 or 5 starts.
Right.
The guy's given up a maximum of 3 runs. That's the most that he's given up. And I think that was against the Dodgers. And, listen, he is incredible. It is called the All-Star game. It does not count. If it's borderline and people are like, well, no, he's got to earn his way. Nuh-uh. No, he does. He's earned his way. You know why he wasn't maybe a full season All-Star? Is because the Pirates, for whatever reason, waited a few extra starts to get him up here. And I don't know what that's for. I know you can't probably talk about this stuff, but whatever. The guy's 6'6", 250. Are we worried that he's going to break on the mound?
I think that, what you saw yesterday is a different kind of, look and feel about him being used. He came back in the 7th inning yesterday, already at 94 pitches. So, there's clearly the leash is being taken off. This was his first time going 103. Mm-hmm. He had thrown, I think, exactly 100 pitches before, and it was crisp. It was good. The guy's ready to go. I think that it's kind of come down to that. It's like, look, the guy is as ready as he can be, so it's time to let him go. And he's showing that he's ready for it. And by the way, I just have to say, he's immaculate on the road. I don't know if you know this, but he's had 6 starts. 3 of them have been on the road, and his 3 starts on the road are silly what he has done to teams in their home park. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool stuff.
2 other stats before we move off this. He has almost an 8-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio, which for a young guy is phenomenal, and almost 12.5 Ks per 9. Dude's a star. He ain't going anywhere.
No,
Stay healthy, my friend. Stay healthy, my friend. All right, Dodgers took care of the defending World Series champs on Tuesday. They exploded for season high in runs, thanks in part to hitting 4 homers in the 6th inning. That was 4 homers in 7 at-bats. That's something they haven't done in the last 3 years. Texas, of course, was without its postseason star, Corey Seager. He missed his 5th straight game with an injured hamstring. The good news is his ears worked just fine right before the game. Yeah, that is Corey Seager returning to Dodger Stadium for the first time in the regular season since signing with the Rangers. Of course, Seager drafted and developed, won a ring, won World Series MVP, won Rookie of the Year with the Dodgers and everything else, and he talked about how special it was being back there. I love moments like that. Call me a sucker, but I could live for those every day.
Oh, I can too. And when you're somebody who really brought a lot of joy to a city and an organization, of course he deserves every bit of that. And he was 2-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger, like you said, Rookie of the Year, World Series MVP, NLCS MVP. That year in 2020 in the playoffs, he hit 328 with a 1.171 OPS. He had 8 home runs that postseason. He was on a tear, and he basically willed that team to the World Series. And it's super cool that a guy like that comes back home and gets to have the whole experience of everybody loving on him. He's having a good life right now. Obviously bummed out about the hamstring, but you go to LA, you win a World Series, you do all that, you go sign for $1 billion or whatever he signed for in Texas, and then you get to come back to LA and everybody loves you, man. That's good stuff. Good for him.
Were you in Pittsburgh when Kutch came back for the first time?
I was not. No, I was there when he left, unfortunately, but I was not there when he came back. No.
Oh, should I ask where you were?
I don't even remember, to be honest with you.
Good.
Yeah.
Good knowledge. Good knowledge.
Hey.
To a bigger Dodgers question, since we did see Corey Seager, and that is, what's going to happen with Mookie Betts? He came out recently and he said, listen, the transition from the outfield to shortstop, doing this in your 30s kind of on the fly at the major league level has been the hardest thing I have ever had to do. Metrically, his numbers are not good at shortstop. Some would say he's even wearing down a bit in the batter's box because of the physical demand of being a shortstop every day. Do you think that the Dodgers should move him off a shortstop and make a move to go get an everyday guy so Mookie can go back to maybe being more Mookie?
So maybe. I don't think that the Dodgers are necessarily doing a disservice to him. I think that he, as a player, wants to do this. He clearly accepted this role and, ran with it. And they have Miguel Rojas. So if he had said no, they would have been like, okay, like we'll figure something else out. But this is the nature of who Mookie Betts is he wants to be whatever the Dodgers need him to be. Unfortunately, right now, they think that's a shortstop. And he hasn't been like the worst shortstop in baseball. He just hasn't been very good either. And the main thing that's killing him is range factor. But in right field, man, he had six Gold Gloves? They're all in right field. He's the current 5th active leader in defensive WAR, and that's all from playing right field. And now you're I think if you're the Dodgers, you're not messing with Mookie by doing this. You're kind of messing with yourself. You're kind of taking away some of the value that I think he brings, which is as a really good defender. I mean, he won a Gold Glove in 2022. That's not that long ago. So, I mean, I could see it from both ways, but is he hitting worse because of it? Or is he just in a slump? Since May 29th, he's hitting like 160. So people are saying that that's the issue, is that he's taking so much time working on shortstop and maybe giving so much energy to that. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I think this is just a bit of a downtime for him. I think that it is the right move, though, to go get a shortstop at the deadline if you can. I just don't know where you go or who you get. That's not I don't know.
You're not the Dodgers GM?
I'm not. Who's that? Friedman? Is it still Friedman? Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he's the president of baseball.
Oh, sorry.
He's the guy that leads the charge. I think it's Gomes, isn't it? Isn't that
right?
Who it is?
Yeah.
That's the GM. So here's the deal. You can't have Mookie Betts making a critical mistake in the playoffs. I mean, the Dodgers, we can talk about whatever we want on June 12th and how they're doing and all this sort of stuff. What matters is what happens on October 12th with that team, right? We all know that. So you want to put yourself in the best position possible. If you can look yourself in the eye as the Dodgers organization, say we are the best possible team when Mookie Betts is starting at shortstop. I don't know. They just picked up Kevin Biggio. To me, that's not the answer. Definitely not. Our buddy Miguel Rojas is a significantly more stable option there at shortstop than anybody the Dodgers have. I think, and I haven't talked to Miggy, I think he's a little banged up right now, and I don't know if in his mid-30s that he's going to be great starting every day at shortstop. I don't know if that's the answer. Now, you've heard the names Bo Bichette. You've heard Willie Adames. Well, Bichette, if you look at his stats over the last year collectively, they ain't good.
No,
they are not good, and he's not great. He's not a great glove man either. Like if you trade for Bo Bichette, it's because of his bat, which hasn't been amazing over the last 162 games. Willie Adames is playing on a first-place team. I know that he's in his walk year, and maybe you could sell at the highest point and you could weasel something out of the Dodgers that could really help your organization moving forward. But that you trade Willie Adames over the next month if Milwaukee's in first place by 6.5 or 7 games like they are, that ain't going to go over well, Steve.
No, that's not going to go over well at all. And I think Willie Adames he is an incredible short. He's been the best defensive shortstop for like a while. So maybe next year, when he's a free agent, maybe the Dodgers go sweep him up. But I agree with you. I don't really see him going anywhere with the Brewers playing the way they are right now. It doesn't seem like it would make any sense. Would you rather have the value of him this season and see if you can get to the playoffs and get into the playoffs and make a run in the playoffs with him on your team? Or is it more valuable to trade him away? I think the Brewers would say it's more valuable for the playoff run this year, I would think.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where they're going to go. I think they're kind of stuck a little bit, and they have, to some degree, created this. Now, I know that you can't pay everybody $300 million or $700 million like Shohei, right? They kind of cleared the decks of Corey Seager and Trey Turner in order to make Shohei available. But if you knew that you were going to do the deferred payments, I imagine 3 years ago when Seager was a free agent, they didn't know that they were going to be able to do that. But, man, looking back on it now, they would love to have either Seager or Turner. I know both are hurt right now, but work with me here.
Yeah.
You would still rather have one of those guys than be in the shortstop situation than you're in, I think.
Well, but the question for me becomes, if you're the Dodgers, are you more focused on fixing your defense as shortstop or fixing the bottom of your lineup? You know what I mean? I think that's kind of where they're going to have to decide what they're going to do at the trade deadline, because the bottom of their lineup has really been struggling. And that's the reason they haven't been, the Dodgers as of late. They just came into Pittsburgh, Pirates took 2 out of 3 from them, and pretty handily, honestly. The first 2 games is just beat them 1-0. You know what I mean? Like, this is it's a different kind of experience. You usually face the Dodgers, you're expecting 10 runs every game like you saw last night, and that just hasn't been the case because you can only do so much with, the 4 guys at the top if the bottom 5 are just not performing. So when you have Hayward starting to hit, maybe that changes up a little bit. But I think if you're the Dodgers, you're more focused on the back of that offense than you are the shortstop position.
Yes or no? First playoff game for the Dodgers is Mookie Betts is starting shortstop.
Ooh, that is such a good question. I'm going to say yes.
Me too. I think that's the way it is. All right, summer is officially here. We are smack dab in the middle of June. That means you're going to be doing a lot of stuff. You're going to be exercising. You're going to be running around, taking kids everywhere. That means you still have to fuel up your body. That's where our friends from Factor, they step in with their no prep, no mess meals. You can meet your wellness goals just in time for summer thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart and Protein Plus and Keto. The thing I love is that you can almost do this on the run. It's 2 minutes. These are dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals. You just take your fork, you puncture a couple of holes in that bad boy. I set the microwave for 2 minutes and 2 seconds because I'm weird like that, and voila, you have a meal. There's 35 different meals to choose from, more than 60 add-ons to choose from each and every week. So make your day delicious from the start of the day with breakfast all the way until dessert. So treat yourself with restaurant-quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, blackened salmon, and more. I love it for the middle of the day. That's always my tough time to push through. If my Factor meals haven't arrived or if I'm a moron and I forgot to order them 1 month, I open the fridge. I'm like, damn, nothing in here. So I'm going to go eat some crap that's not good for me and doesn't fill me up. Factor takes care of that, has me going all the way till dinner. So head on over to factormeals.com/baseball50. If you use that code, you're going to get half off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That is the code baseball50 at factormeals.com. Half off the first box, 20% off the next month while your subscription is active. Your belly will be thanking me later. All right, we continue on. Rough season for Tampa Bay, but they did get a ray of light last night against the
Ready? And a fly ball, right center field, well tagged. Suzuki is going to watch it go. Home run on a 3-2 pitch. A walk-off for Brandon Lau.
All right, so both teams are now 32 and 35. Kind of disappointing, I would say, for both of those clubs. My question to you is one, both, or neither are true playoff contenders?
Yeah, so I'll just give the answer from the start. I got the Cubs being a true playoff contender. I got the Rays not being a true playoff contender, which is weird to say, because I feel like you can never count out the Rays, just like you can never really count out the Astros. But when it comes to it, man, the Rays just haven't done what they've done in previous years, which is pitch. 20th in starting ERA, 22nd in relief ERA. That's just not going to get it done. Also, their offense has been really bad. OPS 27th overall. Home runs are in last with only 51. It's just not really a recipe to win if your pitchers are not doing well and your hitters are not doing well. They got multiple guys like Yandy Diaz and Randy Arozarena, and even Brandon Lau, who just came back from injury, who are just not playing very well, and they just have no power. That's just kind of been the bummer for them. And then their pitching, Savali hasn't really gotten into a groove yet, and the bullpen only really has 2 reliable guys, which are Garrett Clevenger and Jason Adams. So it's like there's just not much. They would have to make quite a run in order to really get back into that playoff mix already. And, that's a hard, and they're not going to win the division. That's just not going to happen. So it's like, in my opinion, they're not the team that they have been in recent years. Cubs, however, are doing the opposite. I mean, their starting pitching has been great. Mm-hmm. And if you get rid of Kyle Hendricks' starts, because he gave up a lot of runs, unfortunately, I mean, they've got like a 2.9 ERA as a starting staff, which is really, really good. All their guys, Tyone and Steele, and Imanaga has been an incredible sign, obviously. I mean, they're all pitching really well. And the only thing that they're really lacking is that the offense right now. They're just not hitting the ball very well. Dansby Swanson, Nico Horner, the catcher position in general are places where they could, they should be getting more offense. So I'm curious to see how they're going to kind of go about this trade deadline, because they need They need a reliever, and they need a position player. And so if you're going to get both of those, are you going to make some big trades to go in on this now? I think I could believe them doing that because, man, the Wild West that is the National League wild card race is going to be insane this year. So I think they're a real playoff contender. Yeah,
I do too. If you look at the standings, actually both Tampa Bay and Chicago are in the wild card standings. Very clear, even though they're both pretty distant in their divisions. Tampa Bay is like double the number of games out in the East that Chicago is in the Central, but still, I don't think either of them are going to win the division. I suppose Chicago's got a chance, but it doesn't feel right. Like Chicago, I look at their team, and it feels like they should be significantly better than they are, right? You look at their everyday lineup. They have a lot of guys that are proven on that team, and they're just kind of meh. They're all right. Now, you mentioned something interesting about the trades, and I always bring this up. They've got one of the better farm systems in baseball. They have a lot of guys that are knocking on the door that are going to be ready, if not this year, by next year. And I think that's really appealing to a lot of teams that would be possible trade partners with the Cubs, right? They look and they say, well, the guy's not going to be here in 2027. He'll be here in 2025. So we can sell that to our fan base. And also, there's so few sellers, I think, at this point, as I shift to Tampa, I think this is the year that they hop on that train. I know a lot of people are scared of dealing with Tampa because it always feels like you get screwed.
You always lose.
Yeah. When Eric Neander picks up the phone, it's like, hey, I've got a trade proposal. Everybody's like, yeah, like I'm good. I'll hang up. But maybe this is the year where you try and pry a veteran, shake him loose, give him a new change of scenery, because you're right. These guys that have produced for years and years I don't know where they are. They're MIA.
Yeah, it's weird. And it's kind of both of these teams, the offense is kind of operating the same way, where it's just like guys who we know are better than what they're playing at are consistently, because we are now in the middle of the season, just not playing well. And, Dansby Swanson's a really big example of that with Chicago. And then Yandy Diaz on the other side for me. I mean, I think Yandy Diaz is a great player. I really do. And it's weird seeing him just not hit very well this year. So it makes you kind of wonder, maybe this is just not their year, right? So maybe you take this year to maybe retool things a little bit and see if you can do better, because their bullpen should be their strength, right? And they got Pepio, and he hasn't been doing very well. And they're just kind of looking for the next, big surprising Rays move. And none of those Rays moves have really panned out like they have in the past this year.
All right. Some really impressive performances at the plate on Tuesday. Stephen Kwan, his 9th game of at least 3 hits this year. In fact, he has more games of 3+ hits than he has of 0 hits, which is a crazy stat.
Silly.
Aaron Judge blasted his league-leading 25th homer. Yankees take care of the Royals. His tag team partner, Giancarlo Stanton, 446 to dead center in the Yankees win out there in Kansas City. So I'm curious, little story time from Stephen Brault. Was there a dude standing in the batter's box where you're like, Jesus, are you like 20 feet away from me? Like that is frightening.
Yeah, it's Paul Goldschmidt for me. I mean, talk about a guy that gets in the box and looks like I genuinely believe when Paul Goldschmidt stood in the box against me that we shouldn't be in the same league. Like, it didn't physically make sense because his forearms were the size of my torso. I was just like, this guy and something got lost here because we should not be in the same league. I don't really understand how this works. But he was the most intimidating. The other, actually, I only got to face in my first game ever, and that was Matt Holliday. He was terrifying to face as well because he was massive. Talking about a big dude in the box. But other than that, I mean, it was more down to just like guys that hit me well. So it's not quite as exciting. But Goldschmidt was the guy who was the intimidator, I would say. He's so nice.
Yeah, he is. He's a great dude. But he and Matt Holliday, awesome people.
Yeah.
Was there a guy who like hit one so hard off of you, you're like, God, I didn't think that was possible? Was it one of those? Was it somebody else?
No. Well, Goldschmidt hit a ball off me on a slider blown away out to right center field, like 440 feet in St. Louis off me one time. And I was just like, dude, what? That's not fair. Like, that was a good pitch. And you just hit it a mile into right center. But no, the hardest ball that was hit off me was definitely, and I always say this, I don't have the metrics for this because it was in the minor leagues, but it was definitely Carson Kelly, who's the catcher in high A when he was playing for Palm Beach. I threw him a 2-2 slider that he hit, and it was the most majestic, perfect home run that anybody's ever hit, I think. I even admired it, and it ruined my day. So it was impressive to watch. But then like guys that I played with, Josh Bell, easy, crazy batting practice stuff. And then here's a good one for you. Ready for this? Michael Morse. He was with the Pirates in spring training for, a year that I was there, and watching him take batting practice on the backfields in Bradenton in spring training, he would hit balls that nobody ever even got close to matching. I mean, I don't know how far they were going, but they were like clearing our field, and it was like a flat ground behind it, and it looked like he was clearing like a second baseball field behind the first one. It was insane to watch.
I remember two things about Michael Morse. He was involved in two of the weirder incidents in Major League history. One was the Harper fight against the San Francisco Giants, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Morse came running out of the dugout, and he smacked heads with somebody as they were all coming to fight. But it was like no joke. Like he got concussed, and I think it really affected his career. The other one, I think he hit like either a regular home run or it was a grand slam that was either fair or foul, and they couldn't tell, and he hadn't run the bases. So they determined it was a home run, and he went back in the batter's box and pretended to swing again, and then he tried around the bases. You remember that?
I do remember that, yeah.
Yeah. So involved in some weird stuff. All right, before we get out of here, speaking of weird stuff, we had some clown in the Reds' loss against my Guardians last night run onto the field late in the game. He went up to Cleveland center fielder Tyler Freeman, then tried to run away from the cops and did a backflip before getting tasered by the officer on the field. Any problem with the way that the authorities reacted to this young lad who's 19 years old?
No, I mean, you gotta keep the players safe. You don't know what somebody's running on the field to do. It's unsafe. It's stupid. It's literally posted everywhere, and they say all over and over again. It is literally a felony to run on the field. You cannot do it. And so in order to keep people safe, I mean, tasing is, you'd rather have that something as long as it doesn't cause, like irreparable damage kind of thing. You got to keep players safe, man. Sorry, don't be an idiot. That's all I got.
Everybody knows my thoughts on this. And people are always like, oh, they don't have to taser him. They could already see he's safe. Well, really? We don't know. I get it. He's 19 years old. He graduated from a pretty prestigious high school there in Cincinnati. I think he goes to Ohio State. He was back in front of a judge earlier today. So, kid, you probably thought at the time, awesome idea, probably got dared by a few of his buddies. Let's take the moronic side out of this because it is.
Yeah.
What's the name of one of your buddies who was most likely to run out of the field?
Most likely to run on the field.
We all have a friend.
Dude, I grew up with my parents literally called us the Fletcher Hills Nice Boys because we were so well behaved. we'd go play baseball against other teams, and they'd just be like, Fletcher Hills Nice Boys, like just good sportsmanship. We didn't really, I don't know.
Fletcher Hills Nice Boys.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I still remember that.
I will air him out with no disgrace whatsoever. My best friend, Jay Novotny, smartest guy I know. Harvard undergrad, Virginia law, like smartest dude ever, okay? No joke. But when it comes to like real life situations, sometimes he's such a dumbass. He would come visit us at Miami University. His eventual wife was like a class behind me, so he would come in and visit. One night he got so hammered. Sorry, Jay, I got to do this to you, bro. He got so hammered that he ended up sleeping on somebody's lawn, and they called the cops. So he ended up in the Oxford jail.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, like, Jay is the sort of guy where we'd be like, hey, Jay, here's $100. Go run on the field. Like, that's probably who he is.
Right. Hey, know thyself or thy friends, I guess.
Yeah. So that's all right. Still love him. Still my best friend to this day from 7th grade on. But okay.
But he'd be the guy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Awesome getting to see you again, man. These 30-minute shows, they go fast when you're when you're around.
We have a lot of fun.
what do we have up on the schedule for you? Just continuing your Pirates grind?
Oh yeah, the Pirates grind, baby. I got tonight. Pirates beat the Cardinals in Game 1 of the series last night.
Yeah.
So far, what is that now? 6-3 in June. So team's looking up.
Are they tied for the last wild card spot or something like that?
Yeah, I think so, dude. It's crazy. They were in 5th place yesterday before the game. Won the game. The right people lost. They are now in 2nd place. So I mean, in the division. So I mean, it is so close. It's crazy.
Quick reminder: get your factor question of the weekend by Thursday night, so we can pick one and use it on Friday's show. Just check our social media outlets to send one in. They've been so good over the last month, so keep them going. Keep them going. I'm sure this won't be the last we see of you. Thank you always so much for dropping by, Stephen, and tell your lovely bride hello.
I will. I'll see you later, Chris.
Awesome. Well, don't leave yet because I have to say
Special
shout out to our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, our amazing intern, Tommy, as well. That is, in addition to Trevor Plouffe, the uber-talented Stephen Brault. I am Chris Rose. We will see you Thursday here on Baseball Today, presented to you by Factor.